arrabbiarsi, to get mad. Pentirsi, to regret. Preoccuparsi, to worry. These three verbs are pronominal verbs. In fact, attached to the end of the infinitive, we have si, which means oneself, and it is a pronoun. This episode is part 2 of pronominal verbs. If you want to listen to part 1, make sure that you check out episode 47. Iniziamo! Ciao, sono Margherita, your host and content creator for Italian learners. Today we are talking about pronominal verbs. And as we discussed last week, the term pronominal means relating to a pronoun. And pronominal verbs don't simply end in are, ere, or ire. They have a pronoun or two attached to the end of the infinitive. We talked about pronominal verbs that end with ci, la, and cela. Today we are seeing pronominal verbs that end with si, ne, and se ne. Arrabbiarsi, to get mad, we can say mi arrabbio molto. I get very mad. Pentirsi, to regret. Ti penti di quello che è successo. You regret what happened. Preoccuparsi, to worry. I genitori si preoccupano troppo. Parents worry too much. In these three cases, we have pronominal verbs that are also reflexive verbs. So the si pronoun changes based on the subject. For io, we have mi. For loro, I genitori, we have si. So these pronominal verbs are reflexive verbs and they follow the pattern that we use with reflexive verbs. That is the reflexive pronoun plus the verb conjugated as usual. Three verbs that end with the pronoun ne are pensarne, to think of it, to think about. For example, non sapevo cosa pensarne. I didn't know what to think of it. And the ne is that it. I didn't know what to think of it. Cosa pensarne. Farne, with the ne again at the end, means to make of it. We can say non vogliamo farne una questione politica. We don't want to make of it a political issue. A third pronominal verb with ne is sentirne. Sentirne means to hear of it. For example, non voglio sentirne. I don't want to hear of it. Do you see how the pronoun ne takes the meaning of it here? Something that you probably noticed here is that when we have the ne attached to the end of a pronominal verb, the ne does not change. It doesn't change its ending based on gender or number or the subject. It stays as it is, ne. And the verb is conjugated as usual. A third category of pronominal verbs is verbs that have both si and ne attached to the infinitive. In these cases, the si becomes se. We have andarsene, to go away. Me, ne, sono andata via. I went away. Fregarsene, to not care. Tu te ne freghi. You do not care. Starsene, to stay in place. Ce ne stiamo a casa. We are staying at home. And intendersene. I know, this is a long one. Intendersene. To be well versed. Lui se ne intende molto di computer. He is very well versed with computers. In these cases, again, we kept the ne as it is. The pronoun ne does not change, but the se changed based on the subject. So if the subject is io, I'm using me. If the subject is tu, I'm using te. If the subject is lui, lei, I'm using se. For noi, ce. For voi, ve. And for loro, se. And these are the combined pronouns. So to recap, today we talked about pronominal verbs that end in si, ne, and si and ne together. When si and ne are together with a pronominal verb, the si changes to se. Se, ne. The ne never changes, it stays as it is. While when we have only si with a pronominal verb, we are going to use reflexive pronouns. If we have instead verbs with both si and ne, se, ne, for example, andarsene, the ne again stays as it is, while the se changes to the combined pronouns. And the placement is first the se and second the ne. I know this is not the easiest topic, so I recommend that you go and download the guide at italianmatters.com/48. You will find all the verbs that we talked about today with examples. Grazie mille di aver imparato un po' di italiano con me oggi. Ci vediamo di nuovo settimana prossima. Ciao ciao!